Hello everyone, I think many of you noticed that there were a lot of strange and unusual things going on in the pilot episode of the Amazing Digital Circus. For example, why did Kaufmo disappear? We were shown the void, but we still don't know what really lurks at the end of the void. Is it true what we've been shown at the end? But for me, as for most of you, the biggest mystery is the secret room that we saw both in the drawings on the wall, in the missing clown's room, and directly in the show. There are a lot of theories and assumptions about this room, but in this video we will try to find out the truth about this strange place. But before the video, I ask you to subscribe to the channel, like it, and write a comment about your opinion about the secret room. And here we go. First of all, let's find out where it is. You might think it's a separate room in the circus, and the door that appears in various places is nothing more than a portal. It's possible, but I have little faith in it. As far as we know from Kinger's words, both Kaufmo and our Pomni kept talking about some kind of exit, which means that he saw some kind of door or entrance to another space. If you look closely, there is not a single inscription or mention of the word exit anywhere in the digital circus. If you look in the Kaufmo room, you can see at least 3 drawings that show the entrance to somewhere. If we compare what Pomni saw at the beginning and in the middle of the pilot episode with what is drawn in Kaufmo's room, we can immediately see that they are completely different entrances. In the case of Pomni, it's a red door with a clear exit sign, and in the case of Kaufmo, it's just a hole. And this already tells us that the secret room is not located on the territory of the digital circus, because in this case, why to create different portals to the same room? So we understand that this room is an abstract place that appears only at the will of the creator, or someone higher than the usual inhabitants of the circus, such as Kinger or Regatha. But now we will not talk about the fact that Kaufmo and Pomni are probably the same administrators as Caine. After all, we have a video on a completely different topic. Let's deal with what Kaufmo saw in the secret room first, and then we'll get to Pomni. The first thing that catches our eye are the 2 pictures that show the entrance to the secret room and what is inside. Most likely, the first picture is the location of the entrance to the secret room, but the second is just the layout of the room that Kaufmo saw. Few people also noticed 2 more pictures in the far corner. On them, we can see some more very strange rooms. On one of them, we can see a huge dark room, which might have finally driven our clown crazy. And right above it, you can see a small room, which is probably the entrance gate to the secret room we looked at earlier. I'm going to ask you to memorize that dark silhouette because we're going to need it later. And below it, there is another image showing a strange door with an inscription above it. At first, you might think that it says exit, because the inscription is very difficult to read in any way. But after thinking about it for a long time, I realized that it could most likely say Kaufmo. On the one hand, it may seem like nonsense because the letter S is clearly visible, but what if it is some kind of cipher, and the letters S and F can be written similarly in general? But this is just speculation, and what do you think could be written there? And one of the last paintings that could interest us is next to the door, and it shows a transition from one room to another, similar to what we have often seen in the secret room where Pomni found herself. And 2 more paintings that could be related to our secret room are next to each other. One of them shows Kaufmo walking around the secret room, and the other one shows the entrance to this room. Let's decide right away that we'll call the secret room a huge room with many smaller rooms inside. And in the last image that we are interested in, we see a monster in the very room that we saw in the previous image. Maybe the huge dark silhouette we saw earlier is that monster. Let us summarize now. The secret room that Kaufmo fell into, just like Pomni's secret room, is a huge room with many smaller rooms. It also seems strange that this room was nothing but empty spaces, and the only thing Kaufmo saw was an abstracted monster. Let's keep this in mind and proceed with the analysis of Pomni's secret room. Pomni's secret room welcomes us with an ordinary office, of which there are many on our planet. And also on one of the pictures we can see the room, which is very similar to what Kaufmo saw and drew. And then we see a familiar scene where Pomni leaves one room and enters another, so we can say that she is wandering through an endless labyrinth. Again, we don't see anything unusual in these shots. After a few minutes, we see the continuation, where Pomni, wandering from one room to another, at some point reaches the very beginning. You can easily see this by looking at the paintings on our right and the chairs on our left. They are exactly the same as in the very first small room. I would also like to mention that the size of the whole secret room is amazing, because it is slightly smaller than the size of the digital circus itself. And so, after a huge number of attempts, Pomni reaches the main secret room in this huge mystical space. It is again an open space office where people should be working, but not surprisingly, there is no one here. However, as a surprising fact, you can notice that 2 computers are turned on, but the monitor is not glowing. Another funny fact is that all the clocks show 4:30 p.m. Too bad the wacky watch does not show the time, so we could compare the passage of time between the digital circus itself and the secret room, but we can say that it is 3 kilometers away from the digital circus. From what we were shown at the end, it was this computer and headset that became our Pomni's guide to the Amazing Digital Circus. I think Pomni remembers it all very well, and that unfortunate headset is just a cruel reminder and possibly Pomni's greatest fear now. All this so-called introduction was just necessary to help you understand the relationship you are about to learn. As we all know, Kaufmo was a very funny guy who tried to cheer everyone up all the time, but as we know, behind the mask of a clown, there is often a soul that is afraid of loneliness or judgment. If you are interested, after watching this video, you can read the story about the Italian opera Pagliacci, and you will understand what I am talking about. In our case, behind the mask of the jolly Kaufmo, there is a cornered clown who is afraid of loneliness. And the secret room in his version is a completely empty place with nothing in it. Literally a complete void, with only the floor, ceiling, and walls, all of which Kaufmo regularly fell into. As for Pomni, you can understand that she worked in an office and occasionally played games on her headset. It's unlikely that she was afraid of her workplace. More likely it annoyed her a lot, and Pomni saw that office every working day and hated it even more. And all the fears, worries, or triggers of someone who dares to visit this mystical room immediately become reality. Based on this, we can safely say that the secret room is a kind of test, which with every second tries to drive the character who entered it faster and faster insane. With one character, it was possible to bring it to the end, if we are talking about Kaufmo. But as for Pomni, it's not clear yet, because you can see that Pomni's mental state got worse with every room she went through, and as soon as she saw her main trigger, she immediately went crazy, but luckily she was able to get out of that state in time. But what is the purpose of this nightmare? As we all know, to achieve the most cherished goal, you have to go through many difficulties, and the most important goal of any resident of the digital circus is to get out of this horror. And exactly for this purpose, the main creator invented a secret room, which is only the first test on the way to achieve the goal. I have already said that the secret room is not a place that everyone can get to, but rather an abstract space that is created uniquely for each character. But it is a conduit to the void, which is the second test on the way out. But what if there is no secret room at all? And when I say that it does not exist, I do not mean that it is an abstract place, but that it does not really exist in any form. Then what did Kaufmo and Pomni see? And what was Kaufmo drawing in his room? I think you remember how Caine was able to transport with Pomni into the void without going into a secret room. So the void is a specific place that is somewhere in the Amazing Digital Circus, and the secret room is just a guide. But I said it might not exist in general. That's right. And did you find it strange the state Pomni was in when she was in the void? It was like she was in a trance. Maybe Caine himself put her there on purpose, then put her in a trance and made her think she was wandering through that very secret room, the existence and horror of which he simply insinuated into Pomni's head. And the scene where he was rejoicing, you could even say he was really scared. That someone had infiltrated the void is nothing more than an illusion to make us think that Caine didn't do anything. But that's just one alternative, and I myself lean more towards the first version, where the secret room was created by the main creator, as cheesy as it sounds, to test the character's resilience. Kaufmo couldn't take it all. Will Pomni be able to? I guess we'll find out soon enough. What do you think about this mysterious place? Write in the comments. I'm sure everyone will be very interested to read. Well, that's all. I wish you good luck and success, and it's time to say, see you in the new videos.